me tell you a secret. It's so easy to feel good. The only reason you're not is standards. You don't have a standard to feel good all the time because society says that feeling bad, that's natural shit. But feeling good all the time, you got a problem. Right? Second, you don't believe it. And thirdly, you don't know the strategy consciously. Now here's what you need to understand. Any emotion you're feeling is just a pattern. It's a pattern of how you use your body. It's a pattern of how you use language. And it's a pattern of what you tend to focus on and believe about it. Those three patterns make up all your emotions. If you're upset, you're using your body in a certain way. You're saying certain things outside and inside your head in a certain way. And I don't mean this self-talk, positive thinking. I mean certain words trigger you. Like if I say, Michael, you're mistaken. That feels different than if I say, Michael, you are wrong. That feels different than if I say, Michael, you are lying. Right? How many can feel the difference between those three? If someone's saying to you, say, I. So there are certain words, we're not like being positive, certain words that will fire off your emotion in different ways, different levels. And your belief, what you're certain is going to happen, affects you. So, people get in habits again and again, and then they think they're not doing it. They think it just happens because something environment happens and they start doing it. It's just a pattern you learned a long time ago, and you've done it so long, it's ingrained. So there are three patterns. I call it the triad, that everything that you feel are created out of, and whether you do something or not is based on how you feel. For example, faith, determination are triads. They are nothing but a big word, a generalization for three things you're doing when you're determined. Use your body in a certain way when you're determined. You do certain things in your head, what you say to yourself or out loud, and you picture or focus on certain things and believe certain things. When you're fearful, you do something different with your body, something different with your language, something different with what you focus on and believe. How many follow the general thought of this? Say, I. So you don't get depressed, you do depression. See, most people think if they take antidepressants, they won't get depressed. Bull. I do it all the time. Some people take a maximum dosage of 6, 7, 8 pills at a time. Still get depressed. Because your body will override all of that. Because depression comes from a triad. Some people get depressed because they think they're getting older. Some people get depressed because they think they're going to lose their relationship. Some people go depressed. We all come up with reasons. Whenever you think your future is uncertain, when you feel like you have no future, when you feel completely overwhelmed, like you can't figure it out, then people feel depressed. Doesn't matter how many drugs you take. So the challenge is not that you're not capable of not being depressed. The challenge is that she believes she needs to be depressed. Now, that's a pretty ugly thing to say, but it's true. Because we live in a culture that if you weren't really sad when you lose somebody, then obviously you don't care. But are there cultures, I'm just curious, where someone dies, where their belief is death is the beginning and not the end, that death is graduation, and where they not only believe that, like intellectually believe it, but they know it in their soul, and since they believe that and know it, they also believe that to be sad is blasphemy or a form of selfishness, because it means you don't really want them to have it. You're thinking about yourself and not their better good. And I'm not suggesting that's all true, but are there cultures that believe that and where people never really feel depressed? Yes or no? So what we feel is based upon three patterns, I said. One of those patterns I should tell you right now is a pattern of physiology, which is a fancy word for the way we use our physical body. Now, very often people come to me and they say things like, Mr. Robbins, I don't know what it is, but I feel down all the time. And other people, I don't know what it is, I feel so up. Why do you think I feel so up all the time? Right? Or some people come to me and say, Mr. Robbins, I don't know what it is, but I feel angry all the time. You think you can help me? So why don't we start with your face? Okay? I mean, think about it. You don't feel an emotion, you do an emotion. I want you to get this. Now, I know you react, most of you, to some trigger in the environment, but can someone else have the same trigger and react differently? Yes or no? That's called wisdom, that's called intelligence, that's called using the gifts God gave you instead of just reacting like an animal. And we all are going to react at times, but you don't want to stay there for months and months and months and months, or years, or days, or even hours. You want to raise the standard. So it doesn't mean you don't feel feelings. I mean, I have sad feelings, I have hurt feelings, I have frustration feelings, don't get me wrong, but I don't live there. And sometimes it's good to feel those for a short burst, just enough to get you to do something, to make something better, or to appreciate something. But to live there, see, some people do it so much, over and over and over again, until pretty soon, this is all they do, continuously. It's conditioned. And then they go, I can't help it. Right? I can't, I'm feeling can't start talking like a human. Because you behave differently in a different state, and you're totally in control of your state. Your state is not controlled by what someone else says, or what someone else does, or what you see in the environment. You have one unbelievable gift from your Creator that we all cannot deny. And that is the capacity, in a moment's notice, in a heartbeat, to change your state. Every hero does it. When the going gets tough, somehow they get outside their own fear, their own pain, and they step up. All it is a state change. A hero is a state of mind. Sometimes it's time to be your own hero instead of waiting for someone else to rescue you. So physiology is the first part. Second pattern is a pattern of language. Now language is an interesting thing. There are two distinctions here. One distinction I call TV. TV stands for transformational vocabulary. There are certain words, as I said earlier, that will magnify human emotion and certain words that will lower the intensity of human emotion. So you just got to notice which words. If you say to somebody something like, you know, I really like you a lot, that gives a different experience than if you say, I love you. That's a very different experience than if you said something even more colorful. Transformational vocabulary means there are certain words that just changing a word, you change your states. Like, have you ever heard someone listen to a speaker that just listening to them like moved you or inspired you, like maybe a Martin Luther King or a John F. Kennedy or somebody of that nature? How many remember somebody like that? Say I. Well, they moved you with just words. And words that have a vocal quality probably attached to it. But guess who's moving you every day with words? You are. But the problem is most of you aren't noticing the key words that either make you depressed or make you excited. Now, sometimes we put a group of words together and we start developing a belief system, but the way we develop it is we incant it. Most of the things you believe started as what I call incantations. What's an incantation? An incantation is like when you say something again and again and again with emotional intensities. It's not like an affirmation. You can go, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy. Still not feel happy. That's an affirmation. What turns an affirmation into an incantation is when your entire physiology is involved. Because then what it does, it sends different signals to your nervous system that you mean it when you say something. Like you can say to somebody something like, I love you, or you can say, I love you, or you can say, I love you. And you're sending a different message, right, to the body by the way you incanted it. It's not just the word. So an incantation is when you say a phrase again and again with enough physiology, emotional intensity that it wires your brain. It's like, ever had this experience? Somebody says, hey, could you get me the salt? And you think to yourself, I don't know what the salt is, right? And so you say, I don't know what the salt is. And they say, well, it's just in the kitchen. You've been there. It's on the second shelf. I don't know where it is. Come on, just go get it. I don't know where the salt is. Come on, go get your salt. I don't know where it is. Go get it. Fine, I don't know what the salt is. I don't know what the salt is. I can't find the salt. I can't find the salt. You open up, I can't find the salt. You look, I can't find the salt. It's not here. It's on the second shelf. Can't find the salt. Can't find the salt. Can't find it. I can't find the salt. They walk in, stand right next to you, reach right in front of your face and go, what is this? How many have had one of these experiences? Say I. Now, did your eyes see the salt? Yes. But your brain did not allow you to perceive the salt because you incanted 20 times. You couldn't find it, and your brain doesn't want to make you turn you into a liar. Okay? And we do this to ourselves all the time. Right? In psychology, there's a term for it. We call it a scotoma, a blind spot. Where you ever talk to somebody and like you're using light, they can't even see it. It's like right there in their face, and it's an idea because they've been incanting it forever. So people come to me, Mr. Robbins, I just can't figure out what I want for my life. I can't figure out what I want. I don't know what I want. I can't figure out what I want. Why do you think I can't figure out what I want? Maybe because you just said 12 times I can't figure it out with total emotional intensity. Maybe a clue. Okay? You have to be careful about your incantations. Okay? Now, so language, there's certain phrases we use, there's certain words we use that lock us into those states. They're like hypnosis. Like remember in the, you read mythology or the times of King Arthur and, Merlin the magician would come along and he would incant these phrases over and over again, right? And what happened? He'd turn a frog into a prince or a prince into a frog. Well, that's what we're doing to ourselves all the time. So we got to be smart and start noticing those triggers. And those phrases put you in those states. It's not what happened. It's what you're doing with your body and it's what you're incanting or the words you're using. Then the third pattern that creates any emotion you're feeling is the pattern of what you focus on and what you believe about it. Focus/belief. What you focus on and what you believe about it. If you are in a position where you believe that nothing ever works for you, then that belief will begin to take over and you'll start to feel that way. Now, if you take somebody who's depressed and you give them a drug, will it work? Yes, because it changes the pattern of physiology for the moment. When you change someone's biochemistry, that changes the way they respond for the moment. But when that person takes that drug, but then they keep focusing on what they don't want or they don't have in their life, or what's missing, or they don't have a future, and they keep incanting it, even though they took the drug, these two will overpower this one. That's how someone can take a drug, an antidepressant, and still be depressed. And the person says, oh, we just got the wrong brand. Let's mix two of these together and overcome it. See, what that's called is trying to put a Band-Aid on something that's not going to heal because you haven't dealt with the source of it. And dealing with the source of it's really quite easy. We got to change the belief that makes us keep using that physiology. But very often we don't have to do that. We just change the pattern of physiology, the belief goes away. The secret, though, is to condition it so it stays. Now, obviously, there's more to it than what I'm talking about, but this is the fundamental basis of making your life work. Because whatever you think your life working is will come down to some emotions. You want to feel love and joy and excitement and passion and peace and connection to God and your friends and all that stuff. And guess what? You're doing all of it or you're not doing all of it. And if you're not doing it, we just got to see what are you doing and let's change it. The only reason you don't is you don't believe it's possible. The only reason you don't is because you keep using the same physiology. You go, I don't know why I'm so scared. I don't know why. And then all of a sudden we change it and everything shifts. And then what we now do is condition it. So the question is this. What is it that stops you from getting what you want? And the answer is fear. That's it. Fear of failure, fear of success, fear of rejection, fear of the unknown, feeling of being disappointed, that fear of not looking good. It's just fear. Now, no achievers ever admit to being fearful. They're just stressed. You say, well, I'm really stressed because I'm not going to make the meeting. What you're really saying is, I'm afraid I'm not going to make the meeting. Well, what happens if you don't make the meeting? Then someone will be upset with me, or I won't be this, or I won't be perfect, or I won't be whatever, and I won't meet the rules, and then I won't feel good. It's fear. Next time you say you're stressed, just tell yourself the truth. You're afraid. Right? Even if you're an achiever, yes, you do have fears. Having fears is called being human. The secret, though, is when you identify it, is to attack it and to change it. And the fastest way, by the way, of these three to change one state is the first quadrant of the triad, physiology. A radical change in physiology will change you faster than anything you can try and think yourself into. Because what you're doing is it's like changing the plug. You know, you got a great computer, but you don't plug it in, it's not going to work too well. And when you change your physiology, it's like TV, it's like changing the channel. Now you go from a sad story to an adventure. Just by making a change in the channel, the way you use your physiology in that moment. Okay? So think of it in those terms. Physiology, language, focus / belief. Anything you want to change will come down to changing those three things.